Am I the antagonist for refusing to dye my daughter's hair because her school complained? My daughter, 15 female, dyed her hair dark reddish brown for her birthday. I didn't let her dye her hair in middle school but said she could in high school. The school has a dress code for hair that just specified natural hair colors only, which I took to mean browns, blondes, reds, black, etc., basically natural tones. Her natural hair is black, but I don't think it's much of a change. The hairdresser that did a bleaching on her hair said it was not lightened enough to cause significant damage. But then one of the teachers in the beginning of the OCT last year began complaining to me during parent-teacher meetings that her hair didn't meet dress code. I said her hair color grew out of people's heads, so why was it out of dress code? She told me it was clearly not her natural color, and I shot back tons of her students that I saw that evening had blonde hair and highlights when they clearly natural brunettes. She claimed they looked like they could be blonde, but my daughter's hair was supposed to be black. My daughter is Asian, so it's pretty racist to say she can't dye her hair, and I brought it up with the principal, but he agreed with her saying it was against dress code. But I saw tons of white kids in her class with obviously brown hair that dyed it blonde and even red, but no one said anything. They want me to darken her hair again so it looks natural. This went on until the end of the school year. I contacted the superintendent several times, but she never got back to me. It's almost the start of school again, and I get an email from the principal reminding me my daughter is only allowed black hair. She still has her reddish-brown hair and doesn't want to dye it back. But I've tried to fight it, and the last thing to do is to barge into the superintendent's office and demand she get involved. Entitle. The dress code says natural hair colors, not their own natural hair color. If other kids are allowed to color, perm, or otherwise process their hair, then your daughter should be too. The color she chose is a natural color. End of story. Some Asians have dark brown hair, some have reddish tints. If your daughter is being singled out because all Asians have jet black hair and white people can have a variety of natural hair colors, please fight this. My hackles were raised while typing out that sentence. Entitle. The AF? You're Asian, so your hair better be black. Are you in the US? Hardcore ACLU. There is not a question in my mind that this false enforcement of the dress code is racially motivated. It is time to have an attorney reply to their letter. Until every Caucasian kid has their hair their natural color, they are setting themselves up to lose in court. Am I the antagonist for refusing to name my second daughter after mother-in-law when the first is named for my mom? I've had a bad past with my mother-in-law. When I met her, she was with her first husband, FIL, who did not like me at all because I wasn't Jewish. He begged and bribed my wife to end things, and when we got married he disowned her and pressured mother-in-law to go along with him. For some background, FIL was 30 years older than mother-in-law. She hadn't worked since she met him and had a classic lit degree, which she had only got to look for a husband and had no idea how she would use it if shit hit the fan. They had a very traditional marriage where he was head of the household, but he also treated her very well, for the most part gave in to her, and she was in no way afraid of him, so I fully blame her for disowning her daughter. FIL died during the estrangement. Mother-in-law reached out years later when she was remarried and wanted to mend things. She claimed that she didn't want to disown her daughter, but he pressured her. Then she didn't reach out when he died, because she was embarrassed. She said she is a different person now and wants to fix things. To be honest, I don't think she is a different person. I just think she is rich from FIL dying and now has nothing to lose. She is still money obsessed, in deep denial, and performatively Jewish when she wants to be. I really don't want her around my daughter, but agreed to compromise with my wife. Recently we got into a fight about the past and mother-in-law said the exact words, "I thought your father was wrong, but I wasn't going to be poor for anyone. I'm sorry. I wish I was a better person." That solidified everything I think about her. Anyway, our first child is named for my mom. Mother-in-law knows this and found out what we are planning, no naming the child my wife is pregnant with. She burst into tears and said we will never forgive her. Her husband later sent us a text about we are really mean to her and what did we want her to do with an ironclad prenup and no career prospects. I texted back I wasn't going to be poor for anyone with a vomit emoji. My wife is now backtracking and saying her mom's name is such a common middle name and it's pretty, so why not just throw her a bone and use our original name with hers for the middle? I said no and no every time she brings it up. I just repeat I wasn't going to be poor for anyone. Mother-in-law found this out and has been crying. A lot of people think I was too hard on her and it's just a middle name. NTA, it's logical to not want to name your children after someone who prefers money over her own child. You and your wife have to find a name that you both agree on. Middle name is still a part of the name. It's really bad and disrespectful to name a child after a living family member in the Jewish faith. Perhaps do some of your own research and frame it as concern for her faith and good standing with her God. Edit, not the a-hole. It's not just a middle name. It's a name you're going to associate with someone who had no problem disowning their own child. Hello. That's why people are like, no, we can't name baby X. I knew an X in kindergarten. They would pick their nose and eat it every day. Some names bring up memories for people, good or bad. Just because you named one daughter after your mom doesn't mean the next one has to be named after anyone. It's your child and you can name her anything you want. NTA. If she wants to have someone named after her, tell her you'll give the next dog mother-in-law's name. If your wife is willing to forgive her mother, why can't you? After all, SHE was the one who was disowned. She knows who her mother is and accepts her, warts and all, so how about you try and do the same? You could go with two middle names just to throw the proverbial bone and you never have to say it. Am I the antagonist for saying having kids doesn't entitle you to more family money? Long story short, basically, my sibling called me an because she has 2 kids and asked our mother to split her money/assets between us 4, her 2 kids and myself who has no kids, then us 2 equally who are her only children. Essentially, she was trying to pull on the old grandma heartstrings, which always works. Me, currently, I'm not married. I'm super keen on adoption though, in the future. So, I overheard them talking about family business and finance. My mother said she had myself and her as 50-50 since we're her only children. My sibling then said, what about kids' names? And my mom said there was enough for them from what my sibling was getting, but my sibling said something along the lines of, but they are their own people, so should have their names written and be given separately. I then heard my sibling say Barry's 4B isn't married, she doesn't have kids either. Maybe in the future she will, but for now, it should be split between those currently in our family, right now, at this moment. And anyways, Barry's 4B is about to be a lawyer. She doesn't need it as much as I do. She didn't finish school. At this point, I interjected. I think I said something along the lines of just because you have kids doesn't mean you're entitled to anyone's money, and that includes mom's. Then she started yapping about how hard it is to have kids, and I wouldn't know because I didn't have any. Then she asked if I loved my niece and nephew. I love my niece and nephew, so that was stupid as heck considering combined, I spend $200 to $300 per kid every year on their B-days, and that's not including Christmas nor the extra money, around $250. I send for groceries twice a year so the kids can buy their favorite foods/snacks or the extra things I buy them when they request, i.e. My nephew loves science or certain novels, so when he asks for a science kit or a 3rd or 4th ed, I buy and send immediately. I absolutely love nurturing their growth. So, I snapped and said she was the one being selfish. It's not as if I'm an sibling who would swipe her or my family clean. I actually love/care about them, so they were being not only offensive but dumb. She even knows this about me, so I was more confused. I asked my mom, should I go have kids then? Would I have more value as a daughter if I did? And she said no, she loved me regardless. She's still sticking to 50-50. However, my sibling is now calling me a selfish because she says there's plenty to go around, so I shouldn't complain so much. Inheritance is distributed to the next level on the family tree. What the next level do with it regarding their next level is up to them. I don't have kids either, but I can't imagine any of my siblings would try to pull anything like this. Edit, forgot to put in not the a-hole. NTA. Don't you love when people call someone selfish when they are the ones truly being selfish? She doesn't want to share her portion with her kids. IMO 50-50 is fair between children from their parent. NTA, if she really wants their names on the will, your mom can split your sister's inheritance up and put their names on that way. Your sibling sounds like an entitled parent. Just because someone has children doesn't make them more important than you, nor does it mean they deserve more than someone who doesn't have kids. Having children is a choice, and it definitely doesn't mean she deserves more of anything. Children shouldn't define someone's worth. This is why I'm so against parents living children an inheritance. I don't want a dime from mine when they pass, and I sure as shit wouldn't fight over their money while they're still alive. Am I the antagonist for sending my boyfriend a photo of me at the hospital? I, 20 female, was recently admitted into a hospital for a night due to a serious but not life-threatening illness. I was completely out of it for several days with horrible pain before my roommate convinced me to get medical help. She took off work to stay with me in the hospital, and I cannot express how much her support has helped as my own family lives too far away. Now I've been dating Sam, 19 male, for about 9 months. He knew I was sick, and so I texted him when I was first going into the hospital to update him. Since he was working, he didn't read the message until much later. I sent him around 6 texts updating him with what the nurses were saying and including a photo of me on 4 giving a thumbs up. It was my first time ever in the hospital, and I just wanted to keep the shitty situation as lighthearted as possible. He responded a few hours later with a thumbs up, and that was all. I asked if everything was all right, and he said, "Yeah, just you being in the hospital is giving me a lot of anxiety. I'd rather not see you looking like that." I told him that was okay and didn't message him for the rest of the night, not thinking much of it. The next afternoon, his mom called me asking if I was okay. She had the impression that I sent him the hospital photo after he told me not to share any information and was disrespecting his request. She reminded me that his grandfather only died a year earlier, where Sam had to spend a lot of time in and out of the hospital, so the updates were making him grieve all over again. I apologized to her and sent him a text saying that I didn't mean to hurt his feelings. He left me on read. My roommate thinks I didn't do anything wrong at all, and he's being too sensitive/immature for involving his mom. Personally, I think this is a bit unfair, as he was really close with his grandfather and struggles with anxiety. I feel really guilty, as I know how mental health can be and never want him to suffer. Am I the antagonist? He told his mommy on you? NTA. It's like lobsters. You've just measured him, he's not grown enough, put him back in the sea. I had one BF, he was 26 at the time, who visited me once when I was in hospital for a week. We'd been together 2 years and were living together. We didn't last. My next BF was 21 when I was hospitalized. I was between their ages on our first anniversary of meeting. He was in the hospital with me holding the cardboard checkup trays and visited every day. Both had difficult shift patterns. I'm still with number 2 now, 19 years later. You're not the a-hole unless you break fishing law and don't return the baby lobster to the sea. NTA. This guy isn't ready to be an adult, let alone in a relationship. You were in the hospital, and rather than expressing concern, he talked about his own anxiety, and then he sent his mommy after you? Run. Any struggles you have in the future, you will be 100% on your own if you stay with this guy. Someone who can't be supportive of his girlfriend in the hospital is not life partner material. Anxiety is no excuse. Who doesn't have anxiety? Mature adults put old bad memories aside and deal with the present when it involves our loved one in the hospital. Am I the antagonist for using the name I picked out over 13 years ago when their cousin has a similar name? So about 13 years ago, my now husband and I met and started dating. Around that time, we both realized we loved the name Mark for a boy. This became something we were both attached to, as we both always wanted a son, and we would refer to our future son occasionally. My sister and family was aware of this, as we were very close and shared everything. She even said she herself liked a different name. 5 years later, she got pregnant. As soon as she found out she was having a boy, she announced he would be Marcus and started to call him Mark. My husband and I were annoyed and reminded her of our naming intentions and told her that we would not be changing our minds if we were to have a son. She agreed to at least avoid calling him Mark, which was a lie. Ironically, she started calling him that a little before I started trying for a baby. I am now pregnant with a boy and I love my little nephew, but my name choice has not changed. She is absolutely livid, and despite the family having known about the name drama, some of them are pressuring us to change our minds. We did try to think of alternates, but no other names feel right. If it makes a difference, we do see each other every fortnight, so it's not a matter of cousins who will never meet. TLDR sister used a name I had picked out for years knowing I would still use it, and now I'm pregnant is angry. Please don't post this on TikTok or Facebook, etc. She constantly uses those sites. NTA, name your child any name you wish. Even if they were close, it wouldn't be uncommon for two cousins to have the same name. In my family, my cousin has the same first name as my brother. In my wife's family, there are several cousins with the same first name. In that case, it is a grandfather's first name. In my brother's, just a coincidence. No one ever made an issue about it. NTA. No one owns a name. And in a lot of families, it's common to have multiple people with the same name. Our family is full of Johns. There's one I know with Carls and Carlys, another full of Barbaras. It happens. Hey, the upside is that when they're visiting and you yell for the boys to come into it, you only have to yell one name instead of two. NTA, so she's surprised that you're doing something you've said you would do for 13 years? Shocked Pikachu face. Your sister is so selfish. And your family is ridiculous for not giving her that talk when she was pregnant, knowing you've stated for years that was your baby name. I hope she does see it so she sees how many people state that she is dead wrong for that. Would I be the antagonist if I said I needed my own room or I wouldn't go on a free vacation? Background: my M33 mother, F61, recently ended her toxic marriage with my father, sold their house, paid off all her debts, and got an apartment for herself. I was super happy for her, as she is finally free of debt and can start living again. To celebrate, she wanted to take me, my sister, F20, and my wife, F32, on a family vacation. My wife and I don't have money to spare for an expensive vacation, and I told my mom she should be saving that money, as the money from the house is the only money she has for retirement. She insisted on paying for everyone since she can't take it with her and wants to have some fun finally. We agreed and started planning a trip to Mexico. She also invited my sister's boyfriend, M22, on the condition that he pays half. Now to the problem. She is only booking 2 rooms and says if my sister's boyfriend comes, she will need to share a room with me and my wife. I understand that he is spending money while I am not, but to me this is a deal breaker. I didn't want to go on this vacation in the first place. I'm only going because it's important to my mom. My wife and I are in our 30s and would like to have our own space to get a break and also have some romantic time in Mexico. Would I be the antagonist if I said I needed my own room or I'm not going on a free vacation? Edit: I just wanted to clear up the sleeping arrangement because I guess it was confusing in the original post. It would be my sister and her boyfriend in one room, and me, my wife, and mother in another. Edit number 2: my sister's boyfriend wouldn't be paying for half of the entire vacation, just half of the extra cost for him coming. Half of his plane ticket, food, etc. Thanks for all the responses so far. Lots to think about on both sides. NTA, what is up with some of these responses? First of all, why does the sister and BF get their own room but you have to share with your mother? You didn't even care about going. No one wants to take a nice vacation with their spouse and then share a hotel room with mommy. Sorry, but no. If you can't afford to pay for your own room, just don't go. You said you're fine not going, and she's better off saving her money anyway, so just say no thanks and be done with it. It doesn't make you an AH to expect not to have to share a room with your mother on vacation, even if she's paying. As long as you are totally fine declining and not demanding she pay for another room. I think everyone is missing the point that you didn't even want to go in the first place and are only going BC your mother insisted. If she wants you to go that badly, she shouldn't be expecting you to share a hotel room. NAH, you would only be TA if you insisted on going and insisted on someone else paying for a separate room for you, but you're not doing that. No one has to justify wanting to sleep alone or just with their partner in the room. No matter who wants to share with them. You're a married adult and your mother is expecting you to be okay with having no privacy with your wife for the entire trip. Possibly she hasn't considered that? It's okay to turn the offer of the trip down if this is the condition. Maybe suggest doing something else with her another time to compromise. NAH, everyone on here is so iffy about gifts. Yes, it's a gift and should be grateful you get to go for free because that is amazing. Though OP does not have to agree to any uncomfortable boundaries and is absolutely in the right to politely decline the gift or voice their opinion regardless if it's a gift or not. Could they also pay out of pocket for their own room? Yes. Did OP already say they couldn't afford that? Yes. OP also said they were okay with vacation also not happening, so in reality no a-holes here. On the other hand, mother is entitled to request and place the other person in their room. It's just an argument, but each side has valid points. The solution comes from the action taken next, and nobody would be in the wrong. They could figure out a diff room arrangement, suck it up, or not go. Any choice is a valid one. You're not children and deserve to have your own room. I would just ask for the location she's booking as you and your wife will be staying nearby. Everyone can still have a lovely vacation together without sharing beds. Frankly, that's an awful idea. If you can't afford it, just tell her you'll go next time when everyone can be comfortable. If someone tries to give you something you don't want, it's perfectly fine to politely decline.